What's up, y'all? It's Shania. You know I'm back with another word. Listen, the word for today is you got to stop worshiping God just out of routine and start worshiping Him in spirit and in truth. Listen, the other day I was spiraling just a little bit, thinking about my past, thinking about the person I used to be, and it had me really doubting God. Like, damn, maybe I haven't come as far as I thought I came. Maybe I still am this person that I used to be. And it just had me just sitting and soaking, like, doubting that God has brought me as far as He has. And I was really talking to God, trying to get close to Him. And He made me think about the woman in the well, the woman at the well, right? And that's, I think, John chapter 4, if y'all want to go read that. But I read through the whole chapter, and one thing that really stood out to me was when He said, there's coming a time, and the time is here and now, that people will worship nowhere. People are not going to worship in the mountains. They're not going to worship in Jerusalem. They're not going to worship nowhere. And in that time, you're going to find that God is looking for worshipers to worship Him in spirit and in truth, because He is spirit. So I was really trying to dive into that and really figure out what that meant. And He was letting them know. The girl or the woman said previously, she was like, it seems like you're a prophet. So you're telling me my life. It seems like you're a prophet. And all the Jews, y'all always say that it's best for us Samaritans or Samarians to worship in Jerusalem. But my ancestors told me that it's best for us to worship in the mountains in Samaria. He was like, listen, it's not necessarily about where you worship. It's not about where you go to church. It's not about who said that you should worship in these places. Because there comes a time when people, you can be in these places saying that you're worshiping and you're not. And He told her, He said, you don't know what you're worshiping. You don't know what you're doing. You're just worshiping out of habit. You're worshiping because you know your father was Jacob. Your ancestor father is Jacob. You're worshiping just out of routine. You're worshiping because that's what everybody else in your family did. You're worshiping because that's what you think is right. Not because you know who God is. Not because you believe in His truth. Not because you got the Holy Spirit. You're worshiping out of just pure habit. You're used to going to church. You're used to the routines. You know the sayings and the hymns, and you know all this stuff backwards and forwards. But you don't know Him for real. And that's the reason why you could have married 5 different people and still think that you're moving in His covenant, still think that you're moving in His will. That's how you think that you could have married 5 people and still be with another man that you're not with, that you're not married to, and still feel like you know who God is. So she took it as, oh, you're just a prophet, and you're just telling me all these things. So when the Messiah comes, the Messiah's going to tell me all these things. He said, I am the Messiah. And that's when she left and she started telling everybody He was the Messiah. And it wasn't about Him telling her life or telling her all these things about herself or correcting her in the things that she was wrong in. It was about her realizing that this whole time I had been worshiping because it was routine. I had been worshiping because other people were worshiping, not because I actually knew God or wanted to know Him. I'm doing what everybody else is doing. She didn't that whole time say nothing about herself. She was like, oh, this is my father's land, and you think you're better than my father? And this is, my father said we're supposed to worship here. No. What is your spirit telling you to do? What did God tell you to do? And that's a lot of us. This is the reason why we leave the faith. This is the reason a lot of people leave the faith, don't believe in God, don't believe in Jesus, don't believe in any of this stuff. But because we're so used to listening to what everybody else say, and then we get to a point where we are tired of listening to what they say and don't believe what they say. But my thing is, we have nothing else to fall back on. So we go out here looking and searching for what's right. When in reality, we need to ask God Himself. He's our creator. Ask Him what He wants for us. Ask Him what He needs for us. Ask Him what He desires for us to have and what He desires for us to know. So, the message for today is when you're worshiping God, worship Him in spirit and in truth. And what that means is don't we love to go to church just to go to church. We love to, our parents and our grandparents made us go to church back in the day. They made us sit in service. We were bored, we were sleepy, we were tired. We didn't even want to be there half the time. Unless you was in the praise team, unless you was in the choir and all that stuff like that, you barely wanted to be there. And you were there out of routine. But see, as an adult, we learn how to be there because we want to, because we know who he is for real. Some of us. And when God says worship in spirit and truth, listen, I don't want to pray all the time. I don't want to go to church all the time. I don't want to be in my Bible all the time. I don't want to watch and listen to faith-filled stuff. The thing about it is, I know, especially when I feel in those ways, I have to go to him. And I be like, God, like, give me what I need. Help me to follow your will. And when I am like that, I ask God for his strength and I ask him for his wisdom. I don't always want to ask for these things, but I know even if I don't want to do none of those things, I still want to be with him. I don't want to pray, but I want to be in his will. I don't want to worship, but I still want to be. I want to be around him. I still want to feel his presence. Sometimes I don't want to do what he says, but I still want to be around him because I know that he's the best thing that I need. And when you are in truth, and when you live out that truth, he will give you his spirit. You don't realize that. When you are truthful with him, when you don't just go to church just because you're going to church, just because everybody says so, just because you feel like, okay, well, this is the right thing to do, even though be truthful with him. That's one thing Jesus was like, okay, you being truthful, because she said, I don't got no husband. When he said, bring your husband back here. If you really want to live in water, bring your husband back. And she said, I don't have no husband. He was like, good. Like, you telling the truth. See, one thing about God, he needs us to be truthful with him, even in even in the thing that we're embarrassed about, even in the thing that we really don't want to tell him or be truthful about. Because once we're truthful with him, he will reveal what we need. And what she needed was to worship him because she knew him, not worship him because it was just, that's what her tradition was. So yeah, the message for y'all today is to worship God in spirit and in truth, because he's spirit, and that's the only way he can communicate. So if you worshiping him just with your hands and worshiping him with just giving to people and worshiping him like that, he don't hear that. He don't see that. If you worship him with your heart, if you're truthful with him, he will give you his spirit, and then you will know that who you're worshiping. You will know what you're doing, because no matter how far you've gone away, once you get that spirit, you'll know what to do and you'll know how to get back in order. All right, so I love y'all. Hope y'all got something from this, and if you did, type amen. Bye.